Hi and welcome to BeatleDave's Beatles channel. Today's video I'm going to be showing my top 10 fabbest anthology items, so settle back and come and join me. So hello and welcome again to BeatleDave's Beatles channel today. Hope I find all of you fab Beatles people doing really well out there, and hello also to any new subscribers, and thanks to you all for being here with me today on the channel. So today's video, and a few weeks ago actually, back, I did a top 10 of my Beatles rarest vinyl LPs, and I had a real fab response about that video, and it was also great, fun making it. So I got a thinking, and with the Anthology release on Friday just gone, and also the impending rescreening of the Anthology series next week on Disney+, I've decided to show what I consider to be my top 10 anthology items. So let's just go back to that period now over 30 years ago, which in itself is absolutely unbelievable. And I was incredibly excited knowing that Beatles fans all over the world were finally going to hear a wealth of fabulous Beatles outtakes from the EMI vaults. Now, although a fair few of these tracks have been heard previously, if you managed to get the ultra rare tracks bootlegs in the late 80s, or what I consider to be the far superior unsurpassed Masters series. Now, nevertheless, the tracks that were eventually released on Anthology 1, 2 and 3 technically were much cleaner and more superior, as they were now taken direct from the original session or the mixtapes, and not obviously John Barrett's cassette dubs. So released in November 1995, Anthology 1 covered the early Quarrymen days, Silver Beatles material, some Decca audition tracks, and then its EMI outtakes and live cuts to the end of 1964. And although some real great tracks are presented here, I did feel that there was too many unnecessary things, like bits of interviews, etc., which, although quite interesting, it would have been better without. And clearly EMI actually thought about this, and with Anthology 2, it improved massively. So released in March 1996 and covering the middle years of 1965 to 1968, we are treated to an incredible glut of tracks, including an earlier take of Yesterday, take one of Tomorrow Never Knows, multiple tracks of Strawberry Fields with a sprinkling of Pepper tracks, and also some live tracks too. Now, allegedly Carnival of Light was supposed to be on this collection, but it was vetoed apparently and replaced with the instrumental of Within You, Without You. So finally, in October 1996, we get Anthology 3, covering the years 1968 to the end. And it pretty much started with a bunch of Isha White Album demos before approaching a big bunch of White Album outtakes, and then we get some Get Back, Let It Be material, and finally the Abbey Road tracks before ending with the mashup of A Day in the Life and The End. Now we fast forward 30 years, and now we've got Anthology 4 with various releases on CD and vinyl. And sadly, I'm just not feeling it, for around 13 tracks. And I haven't actually ordered anything, but that's not to say I won't get it eventually, but it's, to rekindle that excitement as it did for me back in 95 and 96 would take a lot to replicate that again. But with the freshness of the whole Anthology project, this time it's aimed generally for a new audience, and it will certainly be an amazing experience for many new fans starting out on their Beatles journey. Right, so just before we get to my Anthology top 10 then, it's time for, of course, So yes, it's on to those fabulous old shout-outs, and it's a great big Beatle Dave hello to David Rainey, how you doing Dave, me old mate? Mr Sailor Sam, FBT, Mark Trimnall, Gav Axman Spins, how you doing Gav? Matthew Buzzle, George Price, Paul Elliott, Mike Rice, how you doing Mike? Jack and Mark Fogden, how you doing guys? Beetle Brad, how you doing Brad? Matthew Whedon, John Dam, Joe Robb, Ann Warner, James Gordon, Zappa, Tyrone Rogers, Samoset for Beatles Vinyl, John Roker, Vincent Rathbone and Stephen Tansley Sr. So that's a massive hi to all of you fabulous Beatles people from yours truly, Beatle Dave. Right, so now it's time for a look at my fabulous top 10 Beatles anthology items from my collection. So please, come and join me.
Number 10.
So number 10 then, and of course it's the first one on the list, and it's both of these promos. So we've got Free as a Bird and Real Love. Now, of course, Free as a Bird was the first promotional track that we got from the Anthology project. And of course, it's got a lovely full Apple artwork on both of these, and it was just a taster of what was to come. Now, these are lovely little items for anyone's collection, and you know, they're relatively easy to get on both sides of the Atlantic, and they're not too expensive also, probably around about £15 to £20 in mint condition.
Number 9.
So the number 9 place, and it's some CDs again, and this time it's the sampler promotional CDs for Anthology 1, 2 and 3. Now Anthology 1 is clearly a very special affair with this USA one, as the packaging is exceptionally well made and produced. Features 5 tracks from the triple album. Now these UK samplers for 2 and 3, they're not quite as special, but they're still great to have. And Anthology 2 has 10 tracks on this particular disc, while 3 has 5 again. Well, value for one, you're probably talking about £25 to £30, and Anthology 2 and 3 about 15 to 20.
Number 8.
Well, in the number 8 spot then, we got something that is one of those anthology items that you don't see much, and actually probably doesn't actually serve much use now either. It's the Anthology 2 Multimedia CD-ROM from 1996. Well, this CD-ROM could apparently only be used with the authorization of Apple Corps, as it contains promotional material. Now, the bad news, you can only use it with certain operating systems. But it's a great item anyway, and value today is probably about £60 to £80 on a good day.
Number 7.
So number 7 on this list then is the original vinyl USA sold editions of Anthology, with 1 and 2 here which are still sealed. So in the case of Anthology 1, the USA didn't actually press a vinyl edition in 1995, but clearly there was a huge demand, and it was heavily imported from the UK, where in some cases it was shrink wrapped, like this one here. So while these albums are not but terribly rare, original UK and USA ones still sealed are obviously much harder to come by. So value, we're probably talking Anthology 1, it would be about 100 to 120, and Anthology 2 and 3 around 80 to 100, which isn't that bad considering how much the new vinyl edition of Anthology 1 to 4 is, as a new release of 12 vinyl LPs.
Number 6.
So number 6 then, it's a very nice little rarity that not many people know about. Now on Anthology 2 originally, I'm Down was listed as track 6 in its correct place chronologically, but this was shifted out of sequence to track 3 at the last minute at Paul McCartney's request. Now the album actually had already gone to press, and McCartney reportedly paid for the reprinting cost for it by himself. Now apparently 3 John Lennon sung songs in a row, or was it that McCartney wanted a rocker early on in the proceedings? But you know, these are 2 of the reasons as to why it was possibly changed. So how many of these booklets are actually around nowadays? Well, who knows, but this one is actually an original, and if you can find one, it's probably going to cost you about £80 to £100 or maybe more.
Number 5.
So at number 5 then, it's the UK promotional kits for Anthology 1, 2 and 3. Now these are starting to rise in value out there, which is easy to see why. Now these are really nice presented kits with photos and lots of info on each respective volume. So as long as they're complete, right down to the enamel pins, which are holding the folder together, then these can fetch most days at least £100 each.
Number 4.
Well, the number 4 position then features another different sort of item, and this time from a defunct but not necessarily obsolete format. It's the USA produced Anthology Laserdisc set from 1996. Including 8 discs and matching anthology artwork, it was a very desirable set once upon a time, but nowadays with less players around, it's merely more of a curious item to collect. However, unused sealed ones may possibly set you back around about £100, possibly more.
Number 3.
So into the top 3, and this one or 12 of them are a promotional set of badges for the Anthology project. Now, apparently the set is supposed to be 14, but I have 12 of the 14 and I'm looking for the other 2 if anyone out there has any spare ones I can buy. So each badge has a little song lyric like "I'd love to turn you on" or "I am the Eggman," etc. And generally, I would say a full set would possibly set you back about £120 to £140 or about £10 each.
Number 2.
So the penultimate item then, well, it's a really nice one from 1996 and it's a USA 7-track vinyl sampler promo from Anthology 2. So this sought after sampler was limited to 300 copies allegedly, and it's a really nicely made one with the silver outer cover, which is actually based on John's shirt which he's wearing in the photo. Now, I've seen these go for around £250 to £300, but I feel a more realistic £150 to £200 for a really nice one is more accurate. So here's a recap of BeatleDave's top 10 anthology items. So at number 10, it's the UK or USA 1-track promos for Free as a Bird and Real Love with that fabulous full Apple disc artwork. At number 9, we've got more CDs, and it's the fabulously made anthology album samplers for all 3 volumes. Flying in at number 8, it's the Anthology 2 CD-ROM from 1996 with a wealth of material included, but make sure you get Apple's permission. In at 7, it's the original UK or USA vinyl editions of Anthology 1, 2 and 3. Sealed copies are much rarer. Number 6 in this list, it's the original withdrawn printed booklets for Anthology 2, paid for straight out of Paul McCartney's own pocket. On to the top 5 now, and it's those fabulously presented UK press kits for Anthology 1, 2 and 3. In at 4 then, we've got that fabulous USA Laserdisc set. Then at 3, it's those promotional badges, but I've only got 12 of the 14 available. And the penultimate anthology item at number 2 then is the fantastic USA made 7-track vinyl promo for Anthology 2. So it's time to reveal the number 1 anthology item in my collection.
Number 1.
So yes, we've reached the number 1 position, and my number 1 rarest Beatles anthology item I've got in my collection, well, it's the complete set of 12 still sealed framed anthology promotional photo release plates from 1995, or as I like to call them, stages of the Beatles' career. So an incredibly rare set to see these days, and much rarer to find in a sealed condition and also framed, as some of these do actually turn up with just the inserts. Now the full set is really something else, and like most Beatles items, they're on the rise in value. Well, you know, what we're talking about value wise, possibly £450 to £500 for the whole set of 12 if they're still sealed. And very nice they are too. Well, that's pretty much it for today's video. And why not tell me about what you think about what I've shown as always? You know, do you have any or all of these items that you've seen? And you know, I love to hear from you guys, and obviously let me know if you want to see more of these items or these top 10s. You know, I love doing these, and it's a great way of showing you fab people what I've been hoarding all these years, which is the whole point of this channel in the first place, isn't it? So, well, we'll see you on the next video, and anyway, as always, if you enjoy what I'm doing, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos. This is BeatleDave signing off.